friends, welcome here. If you're new here, my name's Bethany. I'm the girl behind Will Love Knits, and let's sit down and talk about some knitting, shall we? I wanted to do a little project update on some of the things that I've been working on. I thought you might be interested in seeing some of that progress and also share a recent finished object. And yeah, let's just sit down and relax together. I'm going to start this episode just by apologizing. I'm very breathy. I'm 36 weeks pregnant. And I am out of breath. Baby's huge. Baby's moving around. I'm a lot more tired than I used to be. I've definitely hit a bit of a slump. The second trimester energy is very much gone. Third trimester energy to nest, also really not here. I do have some things on my to-do list that I need to do, and I just don't have the energy to do them. And I really would love to. Hopefully I will get that jolt soon. But, you know, comparing pregnancies, I was really trying to think. It's kind of funny how your mind just completely erases almost everything over the course of a couple of years. I mean, 2 years ago, I was in the same position I am now, and I really cannot seem for the life of me to remember how I felt at 36 weeks. I feel like I'm feeling a lot more exhausted sooner than I did with my first pregnancy with Arthur. I don't know what that is. But then my husband tells me that things were kind of the same. I just don't really remember with my first having so much desire for the baby to come earlier. I'm sitting here right now and thinking like, can this just be over? And I remember really just enjoying every moment of pregnancy the first go round because everything was really new to me maybe. But I just think that it's taking more of a toll on my body this time. Still really love being pregnant. I do. I just think that I have more things, more obligations that make pregnancy a little bit more difficult. Or, pregnancy makes those obligations more difficult. And so I'm kind of just ready to close this chapter soon. But it's soon, it'll come. So I'm also like trying to be patient. I would really love baby to stay in and, bake as long as he needs to. It's just a battle mentally, like desiring one thing and then another, and then those things battling together. So that's kind of just where I'm at right now. But I'm happy to sit down and chat with you, talk about knitting, get my mind off of that kind of stuff. I have a finished object. If you cannot tell, I am wearing my Mega Erica jumper that I actually just recently cast off and blocked. Really, really happy to have this off the needles. This is a long-term project, and when I say long-term, it was like 2 months where, I think it was time for it to be finished. This one didn't get as much love, I feel like, as my sweater number 15. This one definitely languished in the corner for quite a bit. Nonetheless, it's off the needles now, and I'm very happy to be able to wear it. This is definitely an interesting wearing experience compared to other sweaters that I've made. Excuse me. Yeah, just because it is a mesh sweater and it's very holey and unique, but I love it. It has such like a cool factor. I don't know if I'm really pulling it off, to be honest. It's all blocked and everything. And even still, it kind of feels maybe just a little scrunched up. Maybe I could block it a little bit more. Not really sure. It didn't really have that dramatic opening that I was hoping for. I'm going to share a video. I don't know if I'm going to post this one or that video first, but you will have a separate video of the finishing of this sweater and the blocking, and you'll be able to see the before and after. And if I remember correctly, it wasn't really that much of a dramatic opening. I guess it relaxed just a little bit, but I feel like this is kind of how it always looked when I was working on it. But maybe I'm just not. I always thought I was a tighter knitter, but maybe I'm not. So blocking might not be as dramatic in this case. I don't know. So let me look at my notes. This is a pattern by Spectacle Strick. I'm on the wrong one. I started this at the end of January, 21st of January to be exact, and I finished it at the end of April, the 25th. Yeah, I mean, I just really loved everything about knitting this one. It was really fun knit, and I've talked about it at length, you know, just the fact that it's just so different for me. Like a project like this is just very different, not my usual, but I really loved how it mixed up my knitting and made me feel a little bit more adventurous and creative. It definitely brought something new and that I'm taking with me throughout my knitting as I am continuing to look for and cast on new projects. I don't know how to wear it, really. I put a white t-shirt because I wanted you to be able to see the pattern. I think that's what I envisioned that I would wear. I don't know. It's going to take some getting used to trying to figure it out. But I also think that being 30 weeks pregnant, I feel like nothing is very flattering on me. So once the baby is out and I'm able to wear this in my own body, my postpartum body, I hope this will be something that I will enjoy more. Yeah, I don't really have any notes for this. The woolly knit fiber that I used was a merino, and I used it held double, the navy, paired with some Katia Concept mohair. I don't have any more of it. I used up all of the mohair, and I only have just a tiny, tiny bit of the woolly knit left. I will tell you that the navy woolly knit yarn bleeds. So when I was blocking it, I put it on blocking mats, but I put a towel over top of those blocking mats, and it is now stained with a very interesting dot pattern because of the mesh. It looks so ridiculous. Yeah, so, and I knew that was going to happen because the darker shades of the merino that I've worked with, the navy and the black, both have bled a lot. Sorry. Both have bled a lot when blocking. So just something to keep in mind. Keep it away from all of your lighter sweaters, especially when wet, storing it. I mean, when it's dry, there's no worries about that. But, you know, if you are washing multiple sweaters at a time, don't. Not with this one. Not with one that was knit with a darker shade of woolly knit merino. I don't know if it's just the merino though, because I didn't have the problem with sweater number 15, and I actually thought that that was going to be an issue. I thought that the indigo would also stain things. It did bleed a little bit in the water, but I didn't notice any color transition on a towel, for example, that I used to wipe up, absorb water. You know what I'm saying? You get it. Yeah, but I'm really happy that this project is now finished because that means I can work on other things. Both of which, the ones that I'm going to talk to you about today, you have seen before, and I just want to share some progress on that. So let me just dive right into those, shall I? I'm going to follow up with the one that is not currently on the active needles. Well, it's on active needles, but I'm not currently working on it actively. It is the Hilda structure sweater, so we're going to continue talking about Spectacle Strick. This is a pattern that I cast on with you guys in one of my last knit and chat videos. Yeah, it is an interesting sweater. I was really racking my brain trying to figure out what I wanted to knit up in a beautiful green color that I received from Woolly Knit. So everything that I'm going to be talking about is Woolly Knit because that's basically what my knitting stash is right now. This is the Campo colorway of, again, their merino wool, 4-ply merino wool. It's a 500 gram cone. I'm working with just one strand this time. So this one was knit with 2 strands and I used the entire 500 gram cone. I think I will definitely have leftovers for this project. We're having a little bit of a storm today, so the lighting will go in and out. It'll be very moody. I hope that's okay with you guys. So I have since finished the back. So I started and cast on a project with you guys in my last knit and chat video, and I have since worked the back yoke and finished it. And it looks really lovely. But yeah, I was really trying to rack my brain. What did I want to knit up in this green color? And it was just a really hard decision. And I ultimately just decided to close my eyes and pick the first thing that came up on my phone in a way. I was definitely leaning more towards patterns that I already owned versus purchasing something new. And the Hilda structure pattern is something that I purchased at the same time as this Mega Erica jumper. So I figured, you know what? I enjoyed this one so much. Let's go ahead and work that one up too. And I'm glad I chose it. I think that it's gonna look really lovely all finished in like a, I wasn't sure about the textured pattern with the green, but now that I've gotten somewhere with the back yoke, I think it looks really nice. I am enjoying charted work right now. That's 2 of my projects. The 2 projects that I'm working on are both using charts. I printed out the Hilda structure chart and put it in my notebook, actually. I just cut it up because on my phone, the way that the pattern is, organized and even printed, the chart is very small. So I really needed this one to be printed out. Whereas with my other project, I'm happily using my phone and it's working out really nicely for me. I really love the texture that this brings. It's very simple. It's knit in pearls, but that combination forms this really cool Aztec-y rug look to it. I mentioned that it reminds me very much of another pattern that I was inspired by very early on in my knitting career, which is the rug pattern that's all over Ravelry. It's a free pattern. I will leave it linked below. While this is not it, this is definitely giving me that feeling, and it's a little bit more involved, I think. And it's not color work, it's texture. So I will be able to use this entire green throughout. I really love it. It's very beautiful. I'm working with Katia Concept mohair. This match is wild. I was kind of hoping for a little bit more of variation with the pairing because I just am really enjoying that in another project. But the color match it's so true. You can barely even tell where the mohair strand is, which is actually pretty cool. This is definitely going to have a transformation when blocking. It's very squished up right now, and I think it's gonna look really, really beautiful. The fabric that I'm working up is actually quite loose. I didn't do a gauge swatch. I'm kind of just winging it with all of my projects these days. But it's very loose, so I'm hoping that there will be some sort of blooming with the yarn. There usually is with this yarn, to kind of thicken out the fabric a little bit. But even still, I think this will be a nice lightweight sweater. I'm knitting on 4.5, which was about the same for my sweater number 15, or was the same for my sweater number 15. But since there's no, the cables, I don't know, something about this pattern, I'm noticing more of like a open gauge in comparison to that last sweater. Maybe my gauge has loosened up a little bit, whatever it might be, but I think that this will be really comfortable and really nice. So what I have to do next is start on the front part of the yoke and then join in the round. But I'm waiting to do that because I'm kind of pacing myself with my projects a little bit. Only got 2 of them really that I'm focused on, but I have a little method to my madness. So the reason I started this project was because I was out of yarn, out of mohair for my Ingrid sweater project, which is my yellow sweater. So these are two projects that are motivated by color. The color is what drove the cast on versus the pattern. So I ran out of mohair. I only had one skein at the time when I was working on it, and I kind of just knit until that was all done. And then I decided, okay, I'm going to cast on something different for reasons, just to keep things interesting. But I recently went back and I was sharing that with you guys. The reasoning is that going anywhere with a toddler at this stage of pregnancy is a lot. So I was waiting for assistance from my husband, and we went to the yarn store recently and picked up more yarn so that I could continue working on the Ingrid sweater. So yes, I finally was able to go get some of that. I convinced my husband to take a little trip together. The funniest thing though, one of you guys had me cracking up at your comment about your significant other thinking I was talking about my husband when I was talking about my adventures with Arthur, giving him my keys to be playing in the corner. One of you said that your significant other thought it was my husband that I was giving my keys to entertain. No, I will insert a picture of Arthur sitting on the couch. I actually have one. So it's my son, not my husband, for anyone else who thought that was confusing. Arthur's the good boy. My husband is a good boy too, but Arthur is the one that was so well behaved. Can't give credit to my husband there. So I've talked about Ito Sensei a lot, but I did want to share the color number is 0305. I thought I was going to have more of like a name. I don't know why. But it's this really beautiful light color. Which I really love how it pairs with the yellow that I've got here. So this is very yellow in comparison to that. Now that I bring it into the screen and you can see it, it's very yellow in comparison. And, but what it does together, I really, really like. It has a really fun fabric that's working up right now. And I've gotten some good progress, you guys. So after finishing the back yoke, I was thinking that's a good place to kind of put on hold the Hilda sweater. And I welcomed back the Ingrid sweater. Wow. So I've done a lot since the last time that I talked to you guys. I can't exactly remember where I was at, but I'm guessing I hadn't joined yet in the round for the body. I was still working on the front and back yoke. But we are full swing on the body right now. I just finished the moss stitch pattern, and I'm working on like that cross stitch. This has got to be one of my favorite parts of the Ingrid sweater. This like lattice looking fence window pane texture. I really, really love that. And that's what I'm working on now on the body piece. I have to tell you that my least favorite part of the Ingrid sweater is the moss stitch. It's not really enjoyable to work up. Well, I think my least favorite part is definitely the ribbing. The ribbing is just like, ugh. I work on ribbing all the time. I don't want to do that. The 2x2 here. So I definitely take the moss stitch over that, but I did not enjoy it this time on the body. It was too much. So I am experiencing, comparing it to the baby version of this sweater, there are moments where I'm just like, okay, can I get to the next part of the chart now, please? There's just a lot of stitches on the body compared to, or for the adult compared to the baby version of the sweater. So that's just one thing. But otherwise, I'm having a lot of fun with this project. I think it's going to look so nice when it's all done. I just never would have guessed that I would knit up a yellow sweater like this, but I think it's actually a really nice pairing for the pattern. I think it's just a little bit different because I would definitely love like a gray version. I love all of the neutral colors that go with the sweater. I think it really makes the texture and everything about the sweater really like pop. Like that is what leads when you see the sweater. If it's a neutral color, you're like, wow, look at all that texture. It's beautiful. But this also just adds something a little bit extra too. Yeah, it's just an extra little layer of fun, and I'm really enjoying it, working on it in the evenings. And that's basically when I'm able to do it, but I have really slowed down in the last couple of days with my knitting. I'm just so tired, like I mentioned. I really don't think, I was thinking that maybe I would be able to finish one of these projects before the baby comes, but honestly, I don't think that that's gonna happen. We are less than a month away from baby's due date. And while Arthur came late, and maybe the likelihood of this baby coming late is the same, I don't know. I just, seeing my motivation for projects, it's dwindling a little bit. So sleep is definitely something that I'm more interested in doing at the end of the day. I get a couple rows in, maybe like 3, and then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna lay down and close my eyes now, which is totally normal. But it's just my body. My body is ready and preparing for birth, so that kind of trumps knitting. It would be interesting to see if I could get anywhere with these. I don't know. Since I am enjoying the lattice part of this sweater, I think whenever I enjoy, there are just parts of the Ingrid sweater motif that are really addictive, and I think I'm on one of those, so I think that will go pretty quick. So that was really just a quick update. I just wanted to share for posterity where I'm at with these projects, that I am enjoying them. Both are very different and both of them are similar and different all at once, and it's really nice to go between them in my rotation. So thanks for sitting down with me for this quick little knitting podcast, and I will speak to you again very soon. Bye.